First impressions, Odell, being here.
Not really the first, but, just happy to be back in the building. Been away from the game for a little bit of time, so it just feels good to finally be back here and, get things going.
Will this practice feel, you've had a lot of practices in your career.
Yeah.
Will this practice be any different just because it's been a while since, the injury in the Super Bowl could be an after on the field?
I don't necessarily know. I think just coming here with the mindset, we're all professionals in this, and just get back to having fun, learn the playbook, it's a lot. There's still a lot of, things to do. So I think the focus is just, have fun, stay locked in, be a pro.
Odell, can you even develop some kind of chemistry this week, doing what you're doing? I mean, what are your goals in this minicamp? What do you want to get accomplished?
Chemistry is going to develop over time, I think. I know I'll be down in Florida training with them, so we'll have plenty of time. It's not something that, I'm worried about. The most important thing is getting ready for a season coming up in September, and that's when we play. I think just being here, being around the guys, being around your brothers, just getting to know people, and like I say, just be a pro.
You guys already have
Down
plans
in
in place
Florida, you
to,
mean Lamar, right?
Yeah.
Training with it, yeah.
So you guys already have plans in place after this to.
Yeah, we've been talked about it all off-season. We're supposed to catch some time in AZ, catch some time in Miami, but it's something that, it's not really a thing.
What do you expect your participation level of practice to be over the next few days?
I don't know. I don't have like a set play amount or a number that's in my head. I think it's just, like I say, you come here, be a pro, you get your reps, get your work, you talk. You don't have to always build chemistry, so to say, by taking reps. It could be, a communication thing. How do you see it? And then, like I say, we have a whole off season or after this camp breaks to really get it going.
You posted a real positive post about your progress, like last month from your foot, or excuse me, your knee. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where I know you're focusing towards week one, but where are you right now? Do you feel like to that elusive 100%?
I don't know. I've been asked this question all my career, and I've never given a percent or number, because then it, you say you're 100, and then it just is not really a good question set up for me. So I'm where I'm at right now, still in my process, and just trying to gear up and get ready for week one.
Is it safe to say that you feel good about where you are?
Yeah, I feel good. It feels good to be able to get out of bed and not feel, pain. It feels good to feel like if I need to take off running right now, I could take off running. It's been a long journey this time around, and it was its own process. So I just had to take that for what it was.
Odell, what's your familiarity with this offense? I know you've had a history with Tom Monken. Is it a lot of similarities from the last time you were with him?
Yeah, it was a while ago, but it's all the same. Like, football is all different verbiage and language. It's a foreign language. You just, readjusting the different words. But, conceptually, there's a lot of things where, it might have been called here, over there, and it's called this over here. So, just, familiarizing myself with the offense, the playbook, everything. Like I said, the most important thing for me was just getting back to being healthy. And the rest will always take care of itself.
Putting on a jersey, getting on the field today, is that emotional? Is that meaningful?
I think it is. I think I've been trying to, not think about it so much, because there's been so many disappointments, and I've been in a good mental headspace to where I've tried to downplay this, but I definitely think that I'll be excited to be able to put a jersey on and go out and do the thing that you've done your whole life and what you love to do. So I'm excited about that.
But they're in the same room with Rashad Bateman. Had in Arizona for all of the teams. Where would you say, when you're doing all your your routes and all that other stuff, and you're thinking about your speed, where do you think you are now at this point, and what you were trying to build to, compared to when you were in Arizona doing that workout for all those teams?
I'm definitely better. I got more time. It feels like that was so long ago, and I don't know exactly how far it was, but I feel good. Like I said, I don't have a number or a percentage, or again, it's never really a good answer for that because it just feels like a setup. But I feel good, feel healthy.
Speed-wise, I mean.
Oh, I'm definitely fast.
Odell, everything you're describing and getting acclimated here, you sound like you have a great deal of patience for this process. How hard was that to kind of mentally build that patience given the last game we saw you and you were at the sport's highest level?
It just was. It's a process. You know, it's hard when you get to the pinnacle of, you know, the success in this sport and you feel like it was taken away from you. It wasn't something that was easy to live with. It was very hard to go through that and then, you know, have surgery and your son be born 4 days after and just, you know, so many mixed emotions that I've had to deal with over the years. But it kind of all gets put to rest, you know, now because it's like you're here. And I'm just excited about that opportunity and just trying to, again, keep gearing up to when it's important, which is, you know, when you come back here at the end of July for camp and you're getting ready for the season, that's when it really matters. Not to say that anything else doesn't, but at the end of the day, you know, we could write all the stories in the world, but it all comes down to what you do on the field during the season.
How do you look back on that Super Bowl? I mean, obviously you have the championship ring forever, but, you know, the setback you're describing, how do you look back?
It sucks, you know. There's no way around it. It's literally, you know, you've dreamed of, you know, I've watched plenty Super Bowls, and finally it was, you know, my opportunity, and I was so locked in. I remember my mom and my people were like, I've never seen you, you know, like that before a game. And I could just feel it that day when I woke up. I knew that I was probably going to be the best person on the field. I had been feeling it all week. And it just sucks, you know. I didn't get to live out that moment. It's not for the Instagram posts or nothing like that. Like, this is really something I've dedicated my entire life to this game and this sport. And just wanted to have that moment. But I told I think it was my pops, I said, you know, God had already came to me and said, if I win the next time, just hopefully this year, you get an opportunity. He said, I know the champagne was bitter, but we'll make sure that it's probably the best juice you ever taste. And that's probably, in my mind, that's just how I keep the perspective, is that hopefully I'll get another opportunity to do that. And, you know, life happens to you, so you just got to keep rolling with the flow of it, and we live and we learn.
Talk about speed. How excited are you being part of someone like Lamar Jackson?
I mean, it's, you know, one of the reasons why I signed here. You know, I've watched him for years. I watched him when he was at Louisville. So I don't know who's faster. You know, I don't know the answer to that question, but he's definitely, we all know, one of the most electrifying players that we've seen at that position. And, you know, one of my favorite players growing up, I'm sure he always used to get the comparison, was Mike Vick. And he just has that, he has that it to him. And I think, I remember being in New York with Saquon Barkley and seeing another guy put on cleats, and you just know, like, they're special people. So I got to make sure I stay on my blocks and not get busy, you know, watching him when he's doing his thing sometimes. You know, we all want to see it. But like I said, I'm excited about that opportunity. I think that was a lot of the reason why I signed.
Odell. Lamar said that in this offense that he feels he's going to be throwing more than running than ever before. As a passer, what impressed you about Lamar, and what do you think as far as his ceiling, as far as just throwing the ball?
I mean, again, that's, you know, perception versus reality. I always talk to you about that. And he plays quarterback. You know, he's been throwing the ball all his life. And to watch him, you know, catch a few passes from earlier today, he's got a strong arm. Like, it gets up on you fast. So I'm just excited about that. I know he wants to throw the ball. You know, I'll tell you this, I'll take 10 passes over 10 runs all the time. So I'm all for it. You know, if we're gonna air it out, that's fine with me. But it's definitely about winning games. So whatever that takes, you know, I've been from passing to always running the ball. I've been in the mix of both. Also went to LSU. Nothing against them. We ran the ball a lot. So I played a lot of football. I know, you know, the balance of both.
Odell, we asked a lot about the wide receiver talent level this season. John, as you said, just could contend with some of the best that they've had here over their history. Does that mean anything to you? What does it mean to you?
I think I've just been, you know, guys come up to you and it's like, oh, I remember watching you in middle school. And it's like, you know, they start to give you that make you feel old kind of thing. And I think I know what my role will be as far as, you know, coming out and being able to show it every day and being able to lead and also feel like a good leader has to be a good follower. So just being able to be there for these guys, questions that you need. Shit, I might have questions myself. So just, we're all here to learn. And I'm excited about that room. There's definitely a lot of talent in that room. There's going to be a lot of competition for spots. So, we gotta all work together, and it's definitely got a good feel in there.
Odell, I see you wearing the Orioles hat. We all saw you at the Preakness. It seems like you're kind of embracing the city. But how excited are you to be part of this community?
It's just I've heard a lot of great things about it. Jamil McClain and I played together for the last year he played in the Giants, and he just was telling me, he's like, you'll love it. You'll love the city. Probably don't get me in trouble now, but I'm not to say that I'm an Orioles fan. I got a team of my own, but I'm excited. Want to go to a game and just check it out. Check out the atmosphere. It's just fully embracing exactly where I'm at right now and where my feet are at. And I think that's something that I've learned over this process, is just being present and staying in the moment.
You talked about the room. Bateman, obviously a younger receiver who's coming back from an injury. You have a lot of experience with that. Have you guys talked about that? Do you have wisdom to give him on that, do you feel like?
Yeah, I definitely do. I know that it's never easy, but each injury's usually different. But it's just about helping each other out with the mentality. And, when you come back from being injured, there's always that little bit of fear that you have to get over. It's like you don't want it to happen again or whatever. So we haven't talked about it as much in the room, but he was training with me at Exos, and, we chopped it up about it. So I think he's heading in the right direction. I think we're all gearing up, getting ready, for the season.
Odell, how do you confront that fear that you just talked about?
For me, it was the very first time I just remember there's no really way except for to dive in. There's no way to go through it except to do it. So it just was. Now I feel like after having surgery for the first time, like the second time it came around, there really was no fear, because it's like I already know what I've been through. So just got to do it, I guess, But it's just a mentality.
Odell, Father's Day is coming up. What's been your favorite thing about being a dad?
Every moment. Just watching, his daily development and speaking more, dad, giving you love. Like, it's crazy to see your little human, grow up in front of your eyes. And I love every minute, every second of it. He's here with me now, so it's like, you can't wait to, not to be done with work, but you can't wait to, like, go see him and be with him and just spend those moments and just really cherish and value that time with him.
Odell, I know you wouldn't be back unless you knew you were confident you could be back to the level that you want to play at. Where does that confidence, though, come from? Because, having that time off, I'm sure some people might have some doubts.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doubted all my life, so that's really, for the other people to do, and that's their own, that's what they got going on. That's not what I got going on. But yeah, the time off just allowed me to grow and learn, because when it first happened, I just wasn't in the best of place to even think about playing football again after I just, did that and got back on the horse, and then it happens at the, the worst moment. And if you think about it, it was the longest season for me ever, because we made it to the Super Bowl. I also had started training since last November consistently. So I was training, it was just a long season. I was at the end. I remember, Cooper Kupp and I looked at each other, and I was like, I'm happy this is the last week because I can't do another one. So the doubts is for whoever has them to have them, but that's not what enters my mind and my body. It's just something that I've carried myself with all my life. I know what I could do. I'm just excited about, it's still a process to get to August and then getting into camp, so still got a lot of time.
We can do one more, please. It looks like you had a pretty fun offseason, going to Monaco, NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy, though, getting back to, like you said, this process of playing football?
Yeah. I think it's important to live life. Once you get here at the end of July, you're here until hopefully February 17th, and you spend every single day with these people, your teammates, your brothers, more than your family. And there is no time to go anywhere or do anything. And, when I get to like an NBA Finals game and I'm sitting right there and I'm looking at Jamal Murray's, the intensity he has in his eyes, knowing he has an opportunity to win a ring, or you see these guys, like it's always motivating for me. It's cool to like enjoy the atmosphere of a game, but I really go to watch like, as an athlete, not like a spectator. Like I really get motivated by watching my brother D-Book play or watching LeBron play, watching KD, watching these guys who, in their respective sport, is the same mentality as I am, and they want to be great. So that's always fun. You know, I love being able to get out the country when I can. It was the only trip that I really had, so definitely excited about, you know, had fun with that, but more excited about just it's finally getting close to time to, you know, be able to line up in a stadium again, and I have to watch it from the TV.
Close us out.
Odell, real quickly, I was just wondering, DeAndre Hopkins is also on his free agency tour. I was curious if you've had any exchanges with him or suggestions. And also, to that end, do you think is there anything to prove with a wide receiver going over the 30-year mark?
30-year mark?
In terms of age.
Oh. No, I mean, if you could play, you could play. I don't really think age is, you know, more of a mindset. And that might just be me trying to, you know, not get old, but that's just how I feel. It's just really a mindset. And, you know, we both were in Arizona, and we were joking way before the draft even happened, you know, about, you know, possibly going here. And I don't know what happens from here. You know, that's not really my call. I'm not the GM or coach or anything like that. But I do know that he was, you know, kind of craving to be able to play football again. You know, he had a shorter season last year as well. But he just don't know where he's going to end up, but I'm excited for him, excited to watch him again. And I think he can still ball from what I seen when we were working out.
Odell, thank you.
Yes, sir.